Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us on this webinar where we're going to talk about Velixo today. My name's Justine Gale. I'm the practice manager here at Leverage Technologies for our MYOB Acumatica practice. And joining me today, I have Toni from Velixo, who's the Regional Vice President. And we also have Helen, who's from our Project Management Office at Leverage, and she's going to talk to you a little bit about how we use Velixo internally, and then Toni's going to take you through a bit more of a demonstration of what Velixo is capable of. So thank you again for joining us. We will have the chat open, so if you do want to ask any questions along the way, feel free to put them in the chat, or you can take yourself off mute if you want to ask the question out loud, so feel free to do that either way. But on that note, I'm going to hand over to Toni.
Thank you so much, Justine, and thanks everybody for making some time to catch up today. We're very fortunate to be able to work with the Leverage Technologies team here on this webinar. So yeah, excited to get cracking and show you some great things today. I'm very, very excited about the opportunity to have a discussion first before we look at Velixo. Helen Jenkinson, as Justine mentioned, works internally at Leverage. And so we'll start off today's session with a bit of a chat. I'm going to ask some questions, and Helen will take us through an amazing experience that she's had internally. So first off, Helen, just to get started, can you maybe introduce yourself and your role at Leverage?
Sure. Thanks, Toni. So I'm Helen Jenkinson. I work across finance, project administration, and operations at Leverage Technologies. My role is a bit of a mix across that sort of finance, financial reporting, operational oversight, governance and project profitability analysis. So one of my many roles is to make sure our teams have the right information at the right time so they can make better business decisions.
That's amazing. Anybody in the room who looks after finance and projects will know this is a big role and lots of moving parts in a business as agile as Leverage is. So maybe, can you maybe talk us through some of the those pain points that might have led you to picking up Velixo and saying, well, let's see if this can help a little bit just internally?
Sure. I suppose, like many organizations, we have team members exporting data into Excel and then spending quite a bit of time manipulating it to get the reports they needed. Often they'd spend even more time checking those results back with the system to make sure everything was accurate. So the challenge wasn't really getting the data out of the system. It was getting it into a format that was familiar, repeatable, and flexible enough for analysis, but also being able to answer the curly questions on the fly while having confidence that the data was current and correct. So we wanted better visibility and consistency across the divisional and customer profitability, as well as project performance, without continually recreating reports or manually updating them. This Velixo really helped us solve that by letting us keep working in Excel, but with a direct connection back to our ERP system.
Thank you, Helen. That's I love to hear those examples. You know, projects are such a moving beast when you think about what Leverage manage. The projects as customers are moving in through implementation phase and going live phases. So many different things to track, and it's so important that you have that timeliness throughout that work. So I love you know, this pain kind of minimizing, going away, even with just an additional tool to help. The next question I have is kind of in two parts. Given we know that you use Velixo across two key areas of the business, the first one is, what are the features in Velixo that really help with the operational side and managing that? Some of the features that you kind of can call out and the ways that you do things.
Sure. I suppose the main one is being able to do the real-time data refresh from our system. We use drill down capability to investigate transactions behind a number that's presented in the report. We found this one to be particularly useful when we're staring at an unexpected result and we could just drill down to see what the underlying data was. And often then there was an, oh, of course moment. So it's really helpful to be able to do that quickly. We also sort of use that parameter-driven filtering capability so that we can often filter by customer, project type, time period, business unit, and those results updated straight away, which was really helpful. The other thing we use a lot is the snapshot capability. That was giving us a permanent point-in-time record, often for, say, customer-facing reports and dashboards, but also for our internal audit processes so that we had that point in time with a date stamp.
Wow, this is amazing to hear those features in action and how they're helping, solve those questions. When auditors need information, they always demand it. It needs to be, something at that point in time where they can validate that back to the numbers. So the second part of that question is, given that you're also looking after the finances and your month-end process, just talk to us a little bit about Velixo during that month-end phase.
Sure. So the reports we probably use the most are things like the divisional and customer P&Ls, which feed back to Excel dashboards and make it very easy for our senior stakeholders to look at those dashboards and get a real understanding of our current costs and trends. And then one of the things that we managed to do quite quickly with Velixo was to pull the GL and timesheet data into Excel and present it in reconciliation reports that we were able to quickly highlight when something didn't add up. So from sort of refreshing to the reconciliation, the process was only taking us a few minutes with Velixo. And we were able to drill down to single timesheet or GL journals to see exactly what was happening. Before Velixo, that same work and reconciliation would take up to a week with multiple downloads and repeated cross-checks back to the system, even just to find where something wasn't matching.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you, Helen. I love that time that you've saved and gained that confidence in the numbers. At the end of the day, that means you've got time to do more valuable tasks than balancing and reconciling things. And the business as an overall benefit from one piece gaining so much time back. I think this is amazing. Okay, final question. So how did you find the journey from a training perspective, getting up to speed? Obviously, you kind of maybe don't start out with snapshots. Those are that's one of the features that you get into. But just tell us a little bit about that experience from starting to where you are today.
Sure. I think we started quite simply. Our first Velixo reports were based on spreadsheets that we already had and knew. We just made them dynamic. So instead of them being static reports, we used Velixo queries to pull the data that previously we were downloading into the Excel sheet. That made the reports dynamic and refreshable, while still keeping that familiar Excel layout that we were all used to. So that was like a really practical starting point for us and gave us confidence in the reporting structure. But then we found the pre-built Velixo template suite, and that really helped us move beyond the basics and understand more about what Velixo could do. The templates really opened our eyes to what was possible. They showed us practical techniques, report layouts, and useful setup ideas that we could learn from straight away. They helped us improve and expand on our original fairly basic reports, rather than just recreating what we already had. We moved into that next phase of possibilities. I still go back to that templates page very regularly to see what new reports have been added, what might be useful for us, and whether the new ideas and concepts we could apply to our current reports.
That's great. Thank you, Helen, so much. These templates, our teams do invest lots of time in those. So we love to hear the value that you can get from those and keep using them. So look, thank you so much from our side for joining us today for this short session. We really love the idea to be able to talk to an existing customer in this way. Although you're a partner of ours, we see you as a customer using the product internally. Yes. So thank you, Helen.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
So just keep going. For the rest of the session today, I have a few slides to take you through, and then I will jump into the product and show you around a few of our amazing features. So let's get started here. Just a bit of background for Velixo. Our head office is over in Montreal in Canada. I'm coming to you today from Brisbane in Australia. We're a global company, and very excited to talk to you about some of the features and capabilities here. We have over 3,500 customers today across the globe. Australia, New Zealand, we have a huge adoption, and we're up to around 800 customers just in this region. We have a MYOB OEM agreement, which just means we are very closely working with the MYOB team, and we're very fortunate as well today to be joined by Lockie Doig. So give us a wave. Thanks, Lockie, from the MYOB team. So we have a great partnership and work really closely with them. We say we have the happiest customers in the ecosystem. This is because we believe you can help people with reporting and all that manual work, that you end up being happier, and that's testament of some of those things. At the end of the day, a lot of the stars and the awards here on this page is about customers. And the G2 platform is a place where customers review our product, and we're very proud of this high score we have there. So you can go and read some of those reviews and see what other customers have experienced. So some of the challenges that we'll talk about today that Velixo will address are just this limited flexibility with reporting. MYOB Acumatica is a great application. What we find is customers, as you implement this, you move away from those manual spreadsheets that you might have used to run your business. But what we do see is customers love to migrate back to Excel, because this is the place where you like to do your thinking and your data modeling. And so this is really what we talk about all the time, where you've got some reports as part of your MYOB Acumatica platform. It might not give you all the columns and all the layouts that you need. And this is the question that comes up there with this limited flexibility. So as Helen even mentioned, customers then grab data, put it into Excel, but without a real-time connection, this data, we talk about copy and waste, because you need to repeat those processes. The third one is about data entry automation. So as you work very hard to keep your data up to date, you have to do so through all of those data entry screens. And that can take a lot of time. So sometimes during your month-end process, you've got lots of journals to do. During your budgeting process, those budget numbers, you've got a number of cost centers, you've got a whole lot of GL accounts, and you've got 12 periods of numbers that you need to enter. So these are all opportunities where you can automate some of that work. But Velixo doesn't just go to that GL level. So this data automation actually unlocks use cases around inventory management, price management, quoting, and processes that you might not even think about, where your teams are wasting time is really an opportunity to think about Velixo. So our goal is to just help you connect MYOB Acumatica and Excel closer together. So you're working in Excel, much more streamlined with real-time data. And we talk about a single source of truth. So what you see in Excel is exactly the same data as what is inside your MYOB Acumatica system. So we are an Excel add-in, a nice and simple, quick product to add into your existing Excel instance there. For anybody that's interested, we do not have a data warehouse with Velixo. So it is a real-time connection to your MYOB Acumatica data using your credentials that you already have for MYOB to log in. So this is an important aspect with regards to how you connect and pull that data, and how the user is authenticated that they are allowed to extract that data. So any permissions that were set up, if it's inventory level or accounts payable, accounts receivable, the user's login will determine what they can get access to inside Velixo. So we'll talk about bi-directional, and I'll show you some examples where we not only support that ability to pull the data out, but where you can push the data back in. Lots of great use cases there. And then moving down the list here, we'll just see zero IT dependency. This is very much a self-service product. You already know Excel, so you're off to a running start, and you can just really simply add in those Velixo features. We're also going to spend a few minutes talking about intelligence today. So Velixo Intelligence is our AI product that has just been added into our suite of features. And it's very exciting. I'll do a short demo of this also. As you can see on the right-hand side, Velixo Intelligence includes a number of agents. And these agents will be used when you're using the prompt and the chat box to ask it questions. It will use the analyst agent to analyze your data, even a report builder agent there if you wanted to go off and write an actual report for you. So this is something that lots of customers will find really useful. It's sitting inside your Excel instance, so your user is already authenticated, and so you're not copying in your manual data outside of the system. Thanks for those hands up, everyone excited to try those features. So let's jump into the actual product and give you an overview here of some amazing features. So I'm going to move fairly quickly, and as Justine mentioned, there is a Q&A section or a chat section. So make sure you pop some questions as we're going through all these templates and these features, so we can make time to catch those. What I've opened up is a standard P&L. What you'll see the first time you experience a Velixo function, account turnover is one of those. This is the way that we're extracting and pulling the data from your MYOB Acumatica instance. So once you have added in Velixo into your Excel session, in Connection Manager is where you'll actually be able to configure that secure login to your Acumatica data. Okay, so by the time you do that, your workbook is now already connected, so it knows from which connection am I pulling the data, and then there's a number of parameters in these functions. Okay, so these are not hard to learn. As you can see, they've got hyperlinks, so they are documented on our website, and these functions will become easy to learn based on looking at some of these pre-built reports as well. You can see it's just telling it, in this case, which branch data do I want, what time period do I want, so it's going to read these other cells and go and fetch all that information for you. Then obviously you have budgets, so if you are using MYOB Acumatica to store your budget ledgers, then you can reference those and pull the data from them. I'll show you a little bit later on how you can use Velixo to insert your budget numbers into a budget ledger. And this means what we find with customers using Velixo is a lot more forecasts and accurate reporting budget against actuals is happening because it's much easier to do so. So in my example here, I have a hidden row where I'm referencing which budget ledger I want to extract for that particular column. Okay, nice and simple. So whenever you see these little green arrows, this shows you that the data is real time. It's being refreshed every time you change a feature. If you see my drop down list, if I wanted to look at a different branch data, I just choose that and it will go off and fetch the new data for you. So this is, whenever the team has posted any more transactions, you can guarantee that you're looking at the most up-to-date numbers. One of the great features is that drill down, as Helen mentioned. So on the right click option, you have this drill down ability on any cell, and you can go to the underlying detail there of what was actually posted. So in this case, I was looking at expenses. So here I can see a breakdown of all my GL accounts, which are a part of the expenses range. And over here, I can see all those amounts that were posted. So these drill down sheets really make it easy during month end to double check what's posted, and you can do them at any of those layers as well. So even other expenses, you might do another drill down, and these sheets will just keep popping open. Okay, so what you do notice in these drill down sheets is it's not only that first layer of detail, but you can actually click the hyperlink here and go all the way back to MYOB. Okay, so this ability to do that source, you're looking at one set of numbers. You know, there's no hybrid stage where things have to be refreshed and overnight processes that have to run. It's the same numbers you're looking at, and you can move between your Velixo sheets and your MYOB system whenever you need to do those lookups. Okay, we do have an option here to remove those drill down sheets just to keep your workbook nice and neat as you work through that. Now, today I'm not going to show you the thousands of templates we have, but just kind of describe that you can lay the data out any way you need, columns for your branches if you need that side-by-side view as opposed to a drop-down view, rolling 12 months, many different ways to display your data. Even dashboards. So we like to just make sure that customers are aware that with regards to Excel, there's a great selection of different kinds of charts you can add to your reports. So if you're producing those management packs and you want to do, metrics using some of those charts, make sure that you think that although you're inside an Excel tool, you still have that ability to visualize your data in the way that you need to. Okay, so again, many different reports, you can check them out, cash flow statements. What I thought of showing you guys today were some of the ones that we know customers love using. So I'm going to jump over to our GL transaction listing. So this particular report is now not using those functions like I showed you, the turnover. It's actually using a generic inquiry to extract all the GL transaction details. And if I unhide my section at the top here on this one, you'll see how powerful Velixo starts becoming here. So for your generic inquiry that I'm mentioning, you have that set up in your MYOB system. And in this case, then I can apply a filter to that GI using my Velixo GI filter function. Okay. And then I can also use the column section here to tell it of that GI, which are the fields that I actually want to extract. So it's all summarized in a single section here. And finally, I'm telling it to output the data into a table. So it's mirroring the data into a very usable format for me now. So this means that rather than running off a very report that might take 30 or 40 pages to find the transactions you're looking for, you can come over, use your GL transaction listing as a lookup, and instantly be able to tell it which account you want to look at and what period of transactions, and it will go off and refresh, pull those transactions you want to look at, and give you that underlying detail. Okay, so this is very valuable. As you can see, we've got all the columns of info that are coming through, and it's refreshing instantly again for you. That's a great one. One of the other ones I wanted to step you through was just an accounts receivable one, so that you very much feel like Velixo is not only this GL analyst tool. Any of your subledger data, your projects, your inventory data, I've got some examples to show you through those as well. So I'm looking at accounts receivable data. This is a pre-built report, and there are a number of generic inquiries that it will run off as well. Okay, so simply here you can do a lookup on any of your customer data that you need. You can use the filters that we've got here for customer name. If you are using projects, then you might have that ability to look up the project and then all those transactions from those customers linked to those projects as well. You can age it as of a certain date, so it's really very useful here to look up any of the debtors information. What we also have is an ability here to rejig some of those aging buckets. So you think about having your current, document date and your due dates. Now you can actually go and say, well, I want to create buckets for 30, 60, 90, over 150 days, as you can see here. So we are using the dates that are locked into MYOB, but we're using Excel here to create the buckets that you might need and age your transactions appropriately as you need to. So on your summary sheet, then you're able to have that summary view of your debtors here, as well as your creditors if you wanted that. So these are standard reports. You can download them and get started on them straight away when you're connecting Velixo through. Another example is inventory for those of you on the call today who do look after a number of stock items and warehouses where you're selling and purchasing inventory. That we have, I think, 6 templates. You just find them under the Velixo NX menu option under help. You'll see there's a shortcut there to download report templates. So these templates for inventory will take you through, like this one, days of supply. We're looking at all of the shipment details and then calculating expected, delivery dates so that you can work out when you need to start placing orders, how much stock you have based on what you have on hand, the average sales, and you can see then days of supplies being calculated. So while this is a fairly standard format, you can change it for your own needs. What we're demonstrating here is that ability to get to your inventory data, to be able to make it work for you and how your business needs to operate. Okay, so lots of great reports. The final one is project-based. We have a whole suite of project-specific reports that we've packaged up as part of our construction edition. So anybody in that industry or using the projects module, there'll be a lot of reports that you can also benefit from if you need to access your project data to work out the gross profit margins, percent completions, costs to date that have been, posted against these projects. As you can see, the team has done a great job of visualizing, this kind of data and helping you track your project's profitability in this case. Okay, so lots of different ways. Each one of these has got a number of generic inquiries that will sit behind these Velixo reports. Okay. So just jumping back to a final method now, I wanted to show you just something that's really very exciting. And we've kind of built up from, the GL functions I showed you to extract your GL data. And then we've gone through all these other ways to use generic inquiries to filter your data with Velixo. We have a query function. And this query function does not actually need generic inquiries to be set up. So this is really very powerful if you need to query any of your data. We talk about objects. So inside MYOB Acumatica, each of your screens that will capture data is an object. So there's an object for accounts payable invoices, for accounts payable vendors. Each one of those screens is an actual object inside the API. So you might not know the objects very well. Certainly leverage your partner here, your MYOB VAR partner can help you find the right object if you're looking for data that's sitting there. It's very important to know that any of your custom fields that have been added in, any attributes that the team at the leverage side has set up for you, you can also extract the data from them. Okay, so I'm just going to choose an existing one, AP document here, which is one of the objects. In my filters and my selections, you'll see I have all of my fields then from this object. So I can pick and choose the particular fields of data that I want to have in my query. Okay, so it's very powerful here. You can see when you have these arrows, this is where you have a related and a linked object. So now you don't need to understand how all those tables actually link together. You can just click on the fields you want, and behind the scenes, Velixo is looking at the API and how these tables come together and will build your report for you on the fly like this. So you can choose all the fields you want. You can apply filters as well to them and even some advanced features. So I'm just going to insert that one, just how I've been clicking through it. We'll give it a couple of secs to go and grab some invoice documents. But while it's doing that, I'll just talk through a little bit of this kind of use case here. Why do I want to do this? Well, there's data inside the system, and you might want to be able to extract a set of invoices that meet a criteria because your suppliers have given you that example, hey, supplier ABC, I want to look at all the invoices for the last year and go and do an analysis on a particular inventory item. Or there's all of those use cases that you don't necessarily need to go build a GI, then extract all the data and start from scratch that way. This query function has been designed to help you much more simpler. So I think my data is not returned, all those random things I was choosing. So it will display the 4 or 5 sets of data column for you in that report. Okay. So just in the interest of time, I'm going to move on. I do have a different query that I said earlier. You can see it will just render the data into a field for you. In this case, I didn't apply my filter or anything, but the way to get back to that is just by going through to the query builder. And so you can go back and keep editing your query that way. Okay. So it's very powerful, and I'm sure hopefully a number of you are already thinking of the data set that you'd like to get your hands on and start analyzing with. Okay, there's 2 more features we want to cover off today. One is the distribution and the way to share data, and then we'll talk about write back as well. So distribution comes up because customers think about the audience, that you're creating all these reports, and now you might have a board that needs to get a copy of those reports, or your sales teams. Some of our customers actually every Monday morning might have a set of reports that they need to share to a select audience as well. So distribution comes up all the time, and we have this great feature. We support distribution either by email or by saving it down to a folder path. Okay, those are the options. And again, when you choose those options, there are some additional features, like when you're doing an email, you can tell it to just create a draft and not actually send the email. These are just all options. But really what it comes down to are these selections in the list where you have the ability to remove the Velixo formulas. Okay, so why is that handy? If you think about these reports that we were looking at, I'll just take the P&L as an example. They had all of these Velixo formulas in them. So when you share this report with somebody, they are going to need to have Velixo, connect through to MYOB to be able to refresh the report if they're going to do that. So you can create the report, send them the report. If they have an MYOB Acumatica login, they can open it up, make their own connection and refresh the report. That's great. But if you're going to send it to a board member who may not be actually interested to connect to the data and refresh the report, they just want the final version with all the numbers, okay? We have this automated way to then go and remove the Velixo formulas. So you'll see that option coming up in the drop-down, removing the Velixo formulas. If you also want to remove some of those Excel ones, like the variance columns or where you did a variance calculation, you can also remove the Excel formulas from your cells. And then you have the ability to create a PDF. So sometimes you want to produce a single PDF, which has got multiple pages, and they could be including sheets of your reports, which could be each a single page in a workbook. Now, how do you combine that if you're running these Excel sheets? Okay, so again, we have a feature for that where in your configuration, you can tell it in this example, I want to create a P&L and an income statement. So that's 2 tabs, and I'm going to do that either in an Excel sheet or in a PDF option. Okay, so you can configure lines here on this section to represent the types of reports and occurrences of things that you want to share out. So I'm just going to run off this particular one here. You can see that we've configured, I want to create a profit and loss report for just 2 branches. In column J, I'm telling it I only want head office and Melbourne branch. So you can still filter your data here. I'm going to do an email option, and I'm just going to choose the draft. Okay, so I'll go up to distribute and I choose selected row, and now it will go off and run me those 2 branch P&Ls. So it's going to create the draft email, attach the Excel file, and I don't have to manually think about doing these things. Okay, nice and quick. I'll just jump over to my email there. You can see my draft email has been created with my Excel file attached. I'm going to open it up, and you'll see we've got head office and Melbourne branch. And in the cells, I'm just clicking in, you can see now the numbers are in there. No more Velixo formulas. Okay. So this is really handy. Again, if you click on the Excel files, you'll see the formulas are still there for the Excel pieces. But now my new report is ready to be sent, and my email is, I can, maybe type a custom note. So distribution comes up all the time. Our customers love this feature. They even use it to send statements to their customers. Okay, so if you configure your lines here, you can have a report, debtors report, creditors report, whatever it is. It doesn't have to only be a GL report. Okay. The final thing I'll talk about distribution is just think about, some of the options in your drop-down lists. You might have P&Ls that you need to do for 5 or 6 branches. One of our customers actually had, I'm just trying to find one with budget numbers in. One of our customers actually had a 100 cost centers that they needed to produce profit and loss reports for. So they asked us for a feature, and we built the slice feature based on the customer's requirements here. So slice comes up a lot when you want to slice on a number of dimensions, whether it's branch or cost center or even entity. If you're running more than one company entity, you can create these P&Ls instantly without having to manually copy and paste those things. You can see you also have this feature to remove the Velixo formulas in this option. So you can nice and simply create workbooks here where you can then simply have an entire file full of those tabs that you can ready to share with the audience that needs that data. Okay. So again, removing the manual work that you would do around those sharing of files. Okay, let's get on to write back. So write back comes up. And this is something that sets us apart from everybody else that's doing reporting. Okay, so if you're thinking about, how we compare to other reporting tools, Velixo is not just a reporting tool. We support this ability to send the data back into MYOB as you're working with things in Excel. So it comes up in journals, in budgets, in project forecasting, and then finally as a universal write back feature. Okay, so think about universal write back as any screen in MYOB Acumatica you can send data to. So inventory items, if you need to create a whole lot of new inventory items and price lists, our customers have sheets where they manage that through an Excel interface, and they're writing those data sets back to that. Sorry, my Excel workbook interrupted us there. You've got, lots of different use cases for universal write back. Today, we only have time to talk about some journals and budgets. And so if you are interested to learn more about this universal write back, where your team is wasting a lot of time manually doing things, okay, this is going to be handy. So inventory is, of course, a big one, but it could be also for quoting and orders. It could be to create customer master file updates that you want. Keep those attributes in check, which really are hard to manage. So I'm going to show you a journal write back. Our standard screen for journal write back is very much, a number of lines that you can set up that represent your standard monthly journals that you might want to configure with your GL accounts, sub accounts, if you have any projects as well, and cost codes. So depending on what your journals look like, you can lay them out here. The example I'm going to take you through is an insurance accrual, though. So think about your Excel sheet as something that you're using a Velixo function to pull down the actuals that were posted, and then you're calculating what your journal needs to be, okay? And on that same workbook, it can become the write back journal for you. So I have a number of fields here in the header, which will just identify the branch I'm using, any actual ledger that I'm going to pull the data from. If you think about currencies, if you're just working in a single currency, then you don't need to worry about this, but we obviously support multiple currencies. And then some options around the journal. Is this going to be an auto-reversing journal? Yes or no? Do you want to automatically release this journal? So these are just some config that you can have. But ultimately, you lay your journal out with your Velixo write back calculations. Now, when you do this write back, I'm going to do the whole sheet. It will go off and create a new journal for me. See, it's giving me the batch number, and it's going to actually open the batch now because I've told it to open it after it's imported. So hopefully you can see, oh my gosh, I can set up 4 or 5 or 20 templates in Excel with all my monthly journals. And then very quickly, I can get all of them entered and keyed in for me. I can still then go through the MYOB process to release those, review them here. But it's taking care of that manual work that you would normally have to go through, keying in the amounts, keying in the accounts, and you can have those formats set up. Okay, so moving on to budgets. Again, we just have an example here. I'm looking at a budget ledger called Budget, and for one particular branch, my Melbourne branch, I've got my, this Toni really wants her financial report today. I'll just close that out. So you can see that our budget file is going to extract actuals over here from a prior year. And you could then maybe set up a template in Excel where you want to apply an increase or even a decrease to your budget numbers. So we know customers do their own models for budgeting all the time. This is just an example to show you then. If you did have a column with your new amounts that are then either weighted, so some seasonality applies, you've got your 12 periods, or even if you're going to manually have your budget set up in your 12 columns, you don't need to then go and import this data manually or key it into Acumatica. You've got this write back Velixo function. Okay, so you put it into the same workbook, and then you can simply click the write back feature, and it will send all of this data back into MYOB, into the budget ledger of your choice, and you can then go and analyze that budget number against your actuals. Okay, so think about, the ability here. You can see you can do a single line at a time. This is why we have selected cells in our option, or you can write the whole sheet back and simply upload it as a full budget set. So we've just got a few minutes time to show you this one in action. And basically what I'm going to do is just apply a different increase. Maybe we'll make this one 8%. You'll see my numbers across the top there will change to 70, and then there's a couple of 500s from period 7 onwards. Okay, so before I hit the write back, I'm just going to go and show you what the numbers look like in MYOB for that particular item, this GL account. And I had this open on a different sheet earlier. There we go. So I've got my budget set to 10 for my budget ledger for that particular year, and the account we were looking at was 600, 100. So you can see the Toni at Velixo user. So your audit ability of who actually uploaded these budgets is fully documented. So which user actually created that login. So you'll see the numbers I had previously were 262 and then 530. Okay, so let's go and do our write back now of this particular line. Now that we've updated the numbers, it's going to push it back into that budget ledger and update the 12 columns of data for us. Give us the feedback that that line has been uploaded again. So it's simple for you to keep track of. And if we jump back to the screen, I'm just going to hit a refresh. And we'll see now that 610 line has been updated with 270 and 445. Okay, so hopefully again you guys can see the value of having this single action from within your worksheets with the write backs. Okay, so finally let's get on to our Velixo intelligence, and then we'll be done showing you all the wonderful features for today. So I thought to show an example of how Velixo Intelligence helps you. If you were working with a report like this one, you can see I've got formulas in my cells. Now, sometimes the user might actually, I'm just going to make it quite obvious, overtype a formula and by mistake enter a fixed hard-coded 30% there. Okay, so I'm going to highlight a section of my report. And I'm going to use Velixo Intelligence to just help me analyze this section. And type in, analyze this section for any formula errors. if I can spell that correctly. There we go. So it's now going to use our Velixo Intelligence Analyst and go through that section, looking at the workbook. The guide agent will look at the Velixo section. Oh, no errors found. Let me see what's happening. Let me try that again. This should work, even if it doesn't like my S and the Z. Give it another few secs to review our section and find this. Here we go. This is what I was looking for. So basically, just scrolling back up, we can see that the data integrity issue was found. Gross profit margin was 30%, but it conflicts with a calculated one that it was looking at. It should have been, and it reports a 14% variance in terms of that column. So, you know, this can be fixed. Then you can say, you know, just go ahead and fix this, and it will actually update that cell to what that calculation should have been. So the guide agent will then should prompt it, and we should see that cell jumping back to that 48% that it should have been. There we go, 44%. So I think you know, many different ways, and these agents that we have are going to be super useful. I've just showed you a basic one there today on the guide agent. You can also, you know, use it to create complete new worksheets for you. You'll see when I was right-clicking on it in the Velixo section, you can say troubleshoot if you're having an error in a section as well, like with one of the Velixo formulas, it will help you. And you can even summarize then the particular field as well. So these Velixo agents will come up in different ways depending on what you're you know, wanting it to do. In this case, I've asked it to summarize the gross profit for me. So it's going to have a look at this profit percentage and see you know, what really does this represent on our overall report as well, and from an analyst perspective. So lots of different cool ways there. I know customers, since we rolled it out, have been emailing our teams how much they're loving it, because it's giving them the ability to quickly fix errors where you've got complex write-back scenarios and using it inside your worksheets, okay? So look, let's jump back to our slides. We'll make sure that you guys get a copy today of these slides. There's really just one or two more to go through, making sure you're aware there's lots of use cases, not just financial reporting, but a lot of data automation and operational reporting as well. Lots of great benefits with Velixo. So you heard from Helen today how much time she saved. Month end can be much quicker. This is what it's about, helping you work faster and smarter. Okay. Our website is full of great customer stories. We had one today in the room, so I think we don't need to talk about them, but go and have a read through these customer stories, because they do unlock ideas maybe that in your business you haven't thought of, that you can leverage some benefit from. Okay, so I'm going to come out of the slides and put it back to the team. Let's have a look at any of the questions that have come through.
There's actually nothing in the chat, but does anyone have any questions that they'd like to come off mute to ask?
No, I'm good, thank you.
No, hi everyone.
Hello, Iffy. How are you going?
Hi, Justine. I'm very well. Thank you so much. Very interesting. Watching it. It's more about the accounts team, and I think it's quite brilliant. My question is about like licensing, MYOB connections, like how is this all working? Like, is there a specific license that the MYOB user needs to have to access it? Implementation time, like all this sort of stuff, as well as like, you know, you implement it, do you have access like 5 users or it's unlimited, like this sort of stuff?
Yeah, that's a
Do you
great
want to answer that,
question.
Toni? Go for it.
Thanks, Justine. We sell Velixo in 3 different license types. So there's a single user, a 5 user, and an unlimited user option. The team at Leverage can provide the quote for you. It's quite a good cost-effective tool. If you were to buy the 5 user, for example, it's concurrent users. So any of your MYOB users will be able to use one of those Velixo licenses then. It's not named, so it's concurrent there. The 5 means that it's active 5 users at any given time that you can actually use. So all you need is an MYOB Acumatica login. You download the Velixo application, and then you create that connection using your credentials that you have to the data that you need. So it's nice and simple from that perspective. To touch on your implementation question there, ideally there's probably 2 ways. If you need some help to build out reports and get started, then the Leverage team works very closely with the Velixo team to do that. There's also a services partner that can be asked to help build out reports. But those are basically looking at your unique requirements, and those can be scoped then. A lot of our customers, as Helen said, will grab our pre-built templates and just do it themselves. It's really a self-service tool. So we do have some training that's available free to customers, and then you go through the training and you can get started by yourself there. Obviously, we have support available. So if you're running into questions, your Leverage team is available, but then also the Velixo support team is there to back them up.
Perfect. Justine, don't forget to send me the brochure and all pricing requirements and stuff like that. I personally quite love it, so I would like to propose it through the team. Yeah, that's all for me. Thank you for your time, everyone. That was great.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Excellent. So if there's no other questions, everybody wants to get back to their day, but from a call to action, please reach out to the Leverage team if you're interested to learn more. I'm available also to book a unique demo with yourself, and we can talk about any of your specific requirements. So thanks from my side. Over to you, Justine.
Thanks very much, Toni, and also Helen and Lockie for joining us today, and for Helen showing some of the use cases that we use internally. And I can assure you that what she's talking about is something that I get a lot of value at as well. So it's a very good tool for us, and very good tool for the customers that we've already got on Velixo as well. But yeah, please, if you are interested in a custom demo or if you'd like pricing, please reach out to us and we will be able to arrange that for you. And having said that, thank you everyone for joining us today, and enjoy the rest of your day.